just checking YouTube to see.
Hi everyone.
Oh,
Let me update everyone on our Discord as well. And right now,
rinig ba yung dogs?
yes, dogs ASMR. I'm gonna take a photo for uh, sharing on IG.
Hold on.
Quite nervous for the questions that you have. Discussion questions.
Wait. Hindi naglo-load si YouTube sa akin. Like, I feel like it's my internet.
I'm gonna
Like, I
check.
know it's live, but it's not
Let me check.
loading.
YouTube link. Yeah, it's loading.
Weird.
Audio is okay. Yeah, audio is fine. Nasa-stress pa yung internet mo. Sabi
Let me do... Okay. Because it just rained, so... Wait, I already told you that I finished the book.
like the other day, yesterday.
8:31 at like
Buzzer
11
beater.
p.m.
Buzzer beater.
I was like, it's funny because like I keep telling na maikli lang naman yung book. And I was the one who like,
Na parang it's a quick read.
if you actually read it.
Actually, it's not gonna read itself. Okay, shared.
Just sharing on Instagram.
Hi, Juju.
Hello, Juju.
Your questions ba, are they divided between book and movie or parang integrated?
Well, um, I think mostly book in the
Mm.
first part. Then there is a section wherein it's movie versus book.
Oh.
So like the questions at first would be a bit general. So
Mm.
like it encompasses both the book and the movie naman.
This is the first time we're doing any kind of parang
Live
live
discussion.
discussion,
Yeah.
no? As in together. Pero kasi I remember before you did a discussion about Way of
The Way of
Kings.
Kings. Yeah, yeah, yeah. even that was stressful because of the internet. Like, Instagram may iwan like certain parts because this internet is really fast. So
It's the usual struggle for Filipino people.
I was like, what sino internet provider ng mga nagsi-stream on like Twitch, like
They probably they have it hooked up Ethernet.
Ethernet. Like
Kasi if you have it hooked up, kahit paano, medyo you can get the, not naman full, pero the best out of whatever provider you have or whatever plan you have.
yeah, probably like they have a Wi-Fi for like home use, but they have a
Probably.
dedicated.
Yeah, probably. Sinireview ko yung ko yung mga highlights. Parang oral exam.
Thesis. You're gonna present your
Thesis.
answers. And okay, not as much tabs as I did. So like since I tabbed it before,
Hmm.
I was like I solely used like a pastel like beige
For the
tab
new,
to
new tab.
distinguish that it's
Ah.
this read along. Although the sad thing is with this edition, since it's old, I've noticed like typos and
Oh,
grammatical
really? Di ba
yeah.
parang fun yun? Kasi in the newer editions, parang unicorn thing na siya. Kasi in the newer editions, they'll probably have that edited already.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah. I wasn't able to like continue like I wasn't able to do an audiobook for the Hunger Games. So I'm
Mm.
planning to do audiobook plus the physical
For
on Fire.
catching fire.
Never listened to the audiobook at all.
Mm.
Was, huh, I wonder who was narrating the audiobook. Okay. So apparently our names are hidden when
Or
the
what?
banners are up.
Ano
Our
ba?
names are hidden when the banners are up.
Yeah. Well, our names were both Pam. Oh my god, the zoom in. Not prepared. Na-shock ako sa sarili kong mukha.
Anyway, so if people are still joining, we have a lot of questions to go through anyway. So would you like to start?
Yeah, maybe we should preface this by saying that we're doing the Hunger Games live discussion. So this will definitely be 100% spoilery.
Yep.
If anyone is new to live discussions, for the past month in May, we did a read along of the Hunger Games, the first book. We also watched the movie in our Discord server. And now we're gonna talk about all of it. So this was my first time reading the books and watching the movies in full, but Pam is our resident expert. So she was the one who prepared all of the lovely questions for today, and I feel like I'm taking an exam through this live discussion. But yeah, so make sure that you're okay with being spoiled if you are going to be watching this live, or if you're watching a replay of it. So yeah, I think that's all the disclaimers we have to do.
Yeah, again, it's gonna be super spoilery.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, we're just gonna start with like pretty generic questions, and we're gonna dive into like the more specific ones.
Mhm.
And it's funny because like I found an actual discussion, like group discussion questions from Scholastic. They have
Okay.
some questions there. So if you see quotations on the questions, these are from those discussion.
From that discussion
They
board.
have
Okay.
super specific questions. So I was like, I don't think we need all of that. But to start, what did you like most about the book? And that's me assuming that, of course,
You
you
like
like
the like something from the book.
you like some things.
Thankfully. Hi, Kat! Use us as a podcast. It's not a reading spread. It's a live show, so you can listen to us. Um, anyway, so what I like about the book, actually, I really like, which is kind of weird because I usually don't like it in books. I really like the first person POV. Like, I really like being in Katniss's thoughts and heads, mostly because the way it was written is that you could really feel what she's feeling in the arena, in the preparation for the game. So it's not super tell, this is what's happening, this is what I'm doing now, blah 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 blah, which can be quite boring, which is why I usually don't like first person. But she really does a great job at making you feel stressed when she's stressed, the tension when she's afraid, and when she's nervous and very anxious about something, which I feel like is kind of like a we're given like a private look at how she feels because she always portrays this very like brave stoic girl outward, so it's kind of cool to see that. So that's one. The other thing that I like is I guess it's obvious. There's very obvious like uh, nod to different societal problems and issues because that's kind of the bread and butter of a dystopian story. But I liked how it's kind of subtly done in the point that it's not super in your face. They're not saying out loud na this government is bad, this government is ganito, this government is corrupt, this government is selfish, blah blah blah. But they do it in very unique ways, like how they showed um, the cost of the food, in terms of how much Katniss would have to hunt just to be able to copy the food that they're eating in the capital, things like that. It's very creative in portraying that. So yeah, I think those are like the big points that like. I like the characters. Most of them I think are very interesting, very enjoyable to like read about or read in Katniss's head. So yeah, how about you? What did you like about the book? Essay? I think you're muted. I think you're muted.
Oh no, yes, I was because like the neighbor's dog was barking while you were speaking. As someone who has read this, like I love everything about it, at least most of the things about it. I love dystopian settings. So when I first read it, I think The Hunger Games was also my first dystopian read, if not for like The Giver or whatever. But I think this is like the first dystopian series that I was really invested in. Like I was on Tumblr. I was making gifs. I was making gif
Edits and
sets. And
edits.
I was making gifs and edits. Oh my god,
The
those were
OG
the times.
TikTok.
And it's just to add to what you were saying. It's like it is like timeless because like no matter which setting we are in the current society, like it still slaps. It's still it's still relevant. It's
Very
still
accurate.
it's like not point per point, but like when I was actually making the questions earlier, I was like connecting the dots. I was like reflecting on actually how the whole government works in the Hunger Games and how it's relevant to like our current one. So it's not super in your face, which to add to your point, like I totally agree because like you really have to think of like certain similarities.
Yeah.
Like of course we're not being put to an arena of like to kill each other, but like um also the characters. I like the characters and how um they're very distinct. Like even with Gale and Katniss, even though they grew up basically together, they hunt together, they're still very different people. They think very differently, which is a huge feat because like we're reading this from Katniss's perspective.
Yeah.
So like even if it's from Katniss's perspective, it's very varied.
Yeah, you can really hear the different characters, even though it's all being described in Katniss's head, which is kind of cool. I mean, that's also the reason why I was shocked that I like this, even though it's first person.
And they're like the even the writing is not, it's not mind blowing. It's not, you wouldn't say that it's superfluous or whatever, like
It's
poetic. It's just simple. It's simple, but it hits.
uh I remember saying this about another book as well, but it felt like the author just used how many like words, exactly how many words she needed to
Mhm.
make a point. Like she
Get the
didn't try
yeah,
to like, add flowery words or
yeah, yeah.
flowery descriptions, just enough that you get the picture.
Okay, Juju says among the YA dystopian books during that era, this one's a classic. And funny enough, like a certain screenshot resurfaced recently wherein like there was a time where MTV would do like polls so people could vote on like a character, and they pit Triss from Divergent and Katniss from the Hunger Games. So we were like, people were like, "Fuck!" It was such a stressful time because, like, of course, those
At the
were
time,
they were
both
both
were very
very
popular.
popular
Yeah.
books, but yeah,
So who won?
I think it was Katniss, but like the battle was actually pretty close.
Actually,
But
I
it was,
remember. So I've never watched the movie. I've never read the books before, right? And then I've
mm,
watched bits and pieces of the movie. And I remember being very kind of annoyed at Katniss. She's like, if you just watch the movie, I feel like she comes across as a very annoying character,
yeah.
or not very annoying, but like it's hard to empathize with her. So I kind of
Mm,
like how the book, like reading the books, really gave you an insight to her
mm.
as a character. So yeah, I don't know if we're getting too far ahead, baka answering questions in the future, but yeah,
Well, let me
I just thought of that.
actually, there is one question leading to like Katniss. So,
Something.
I know, right? It's so
Yes.
timeless. I swear. Like, I'm never gonna like get tired of it. Okay, moving to the next question. What did you least like about the book?
Least liked about the book. I have to think about this quite a bit because when I was reading, one, I read it fairly quickly. Like I think I read it in two sittings. One is when we did the
Like,
reading spirit,
yeah,
and then
like,
one more session after that. So I, f- hmm, I'm trying to think of something glaringly bad because I didn't make any notes. Na I didn't like this part or whatever.
yeah. I'm
Trying to
trying to
think of
check my notes as well.
I think. Uh, well, hmm. I mean, I don't mind that it's fast paced. I mean, it's not that fast paced even in the beginning, but I don't know. Do you have anything that you don't like?
Maybe it's not something that I don't like. So I there's also nothing I don't like about the series except the movie. So, anyways, we'll dive into that.
We'll get to that later.
But more of like um certain what ifs.
Mm.
So there is also a question pertaining to this. So I guess the short answer to this question is there's nothing glaring that we don't like.
Maybe if I were to nitpick, like if I really force myself to say something that I don't like
At
about it,
gunpoint, yeah.
yeah, at gunpoint, like I have to say something I don't like about it. I like. Do you know how old they were supposed to be? Like I forgot. like 16?
16.
16.
Katniss,
Katniss
yes.
is 16. Okay. I feel like, I mean, it might be because I'm reading this as someone that's very much not 16 and far from 16. I was sort of like, I was over the whole, um, does he, is he doing this because he liked me, or is he doing
Okay,
this
okay,
for
okay,
the
okay.
games?
The
Is he blah blah
internal
blah?
struggle.
The internal story. Well, I feel like if I, like, I have to think that, she's 16. They're very
Yeah, yeah,
young, in a very stressful situation where anything can happen, and like each person for himself, herself. So it's kind of like valid if I put it in those parameters, like if I put it in context. But while I was reading it, I was getting a little bit, oh, I mean, just say it once and then get over it. Like, decide later if you think he's
it's
doing
the
it
adult
for,
in
like,
you.
for reals, or yeah. So I feel, but I know that it's the adult me, because yeah, my least favorite part about this book is Gale. Gale, what did he do in this book?
None yet. None yet.
None yet. 'Cause I feel like he was just there in the beginning to set up the
Yeah, yeah,
school,
yeah.
how Katniss like got better at hunting and whatnot, like hunting partners. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
at some point there was this, it was Katniss used him as like a comparison with Pita, but I felt like he
Mhm.
hasn't done anything yet.
None yet. Yeah, yeah, yeah. None yet.
So we're still cool.
Yes. There's
But
nothing remarkably bad in the book, but the movie. Yeah, we're gonna dive into
we'll
that.
get there.
Yes, we'll get there. So the next question: who is your favorite character? The most basic question.
Character. I
Okay,
really like,
so it's
oh, go.
easier because I feel like we might answer it's Katniss because we are in the head of Katniss.
Katniss,
Who is
yeah.
your favorite character that isn't Katniss?
Yeah. Actually, I don't know if Katniss is my favorite character. I
Yeah,
mean,
you
she's
literally just said
very,
she's annoying at some point.
like, she's very interesting, and like she's all cool and whatever. But I feel like my favorite character would have to be either Effie or Cinna.
Okay, okay,
I
okay.
mean, for, like, I
Okay.
don't know, favorite, not in a sense that I agree with everything that
Mm.
she's doing, or
Yeah, yeah,
that
but just the
I think
characterization.
she's right or whatever, but the way that her character is presented, how she's like um this person who's like, she's the type of person who just like tries to see the good in everything, whether like to the extremes. Like, she takes it to the extremes, and she always thinks that she's kind of like the idealist sort of
Mm.
person. And I really like that, in contrast with all of the dark, gloomy despair that everyone is feeling inside. Like, whenever they were eating dinner, it's like how she's more
Mm.
concerned about manners than like
Mahogany.
the actual concept that they're gonna die in a few days, like they're gonna kill each other in a few days. So I don't know, I just found her very interesting. Cena, because he's just a darling. He's just amazing. But yeah, I think maybe not favorite, but like the character that interests me the most was Effie. Like, I
Mm.
wanted to know what's her story, what's going on with her, like how did she get into that position and whatnot. I'm a
Oh,
image sim.
I'm a huge shame, but Pita is 100% my fave character because he's such a
She's such
dork.
a dork. Ooh.
Okay, for me, my favorites are Sina and Pita. Because,
Mm.
like, not gonna say the movie again, but I will get there. Because, like, the movie didn't do Pita any
Any
justice.
justice?
Even Hamish, like,
Mm. Yeah.
the in
Even
the
Haymitch.
movie,
Yeah.
which was like an embarrassing old man, but
Yeah.
when you
Like,
get to
there
the
wasn't
latter part
really.
of
Yeah.
yeah, the latter part of the book, you really see that he actually cares. And
Mm-hmm.
you can see that even when we were just in Katniss's perspective. So yeah, I like Image. And with Sena, he's just someone that I want to be friends with. He's like
Mm.
he's someone so like sure of himself, like he's not easily swayed by um I
like
want to
the
say the
status
mountain. Yeah,
quo,
the status
or
quo.
the what everyone says is right or whatever.
Yeah, so I love.
Also, maybe another like not favorite but character that was interesting for me is what's the name of the host? I forgot the name of the host. The host of
Uh,
the show. I
wait,
mean
wait, wait.
that guy. I forgot his name, but I he was interesting to me because I don't know. I feel like similar to Effie's within the system, right? Hold on.
Caesar Flickerman. Caesar Flicker. Caesar Flickerman.
Sorry, yeah, him. Caesar. So he's within the system. He's like obviously he's part of like the whole machine that is the Hunger Games. But I feel like he has this I don't know, just like how he was really good at sort of understanding the people that he's interviewing
Mm,
and like pushing and pulling with them. I mean, not really super sensational. I mean, obviously his job was to
yeah,
sensationalize
yeah,
it,
yeah.
but I feel like he kind of did it in a not super crappy way. Like how he didn't push in certain areas where he felt that Katniss wasn't ready to divulge or
Yeah,
ready
yeah,
to go further, but he knew how to make Katniss shine because he needed to do that to make sure that she had a shot at getting sponsors, things like that. I don't know. Why do I like the weird characters? I don't know.
it's not weird. It's totally like he's really good. He's really good. I wouldn't say he's nice because
He's
like
not nice. He's just interesting, kind of
yeah.
like people within the system. But yeah.
What if no my alternate universe na ano Shopee live seller or TikTok
Shopee
live
seller.
seller? Si Caesar. Ay, gaganda niya.
Parang ano, grabe makabudol yun pag gano'n.
Movie Pita is almost 1D. I love
It's
Rue and Sino.
Rue is such a baby girl.
Okay, next question. What did you think about the point of view of the story? Was it more impactful because it was told from Katniss's POV?
Yeah, I think we sort of dabbled in this a
Yeah.
bit, but I do think that it definitely made it more impactful because I'm thinking about how it would happen if it's like it's third person or like multiple POVs. I feel like it would be very diluted. But the Katniss's POV, we don't know anything. Like we only know what she knows. So we have the same dread, the same feeling of tension, of stress as we get closer and closer to the actual games, to whatever is happening, because we have no idea what's going on. Like when we watch the movies, we get glimpses of what the game masters were trying to
No,
do
yeah.
or what like there's this commentary on what's happening to the other people or what what Katniss might be thinking or dealing with soon. But in her POV, we're just sitting in a tree and then we don't know what's going on. Like we're sitting in a tree, everything is quiet. We see a smoke, we don't know what's happening. So it's kind of like it added to that level of not knowing anything and that dread that comes with that. And yeah, I think it did a good job at like balancing how other characters were portrayed because because it's a very psychological game and
Mm.
Katniss was trying to like really figure out the psyche of the other, like what the other people players are thinking, and she's always thinking about that in her head. That's why we all get a good picture of everyone else even though we're just in her POV.
Yeah. And there was a moment in the book where they were watching the highlights of the games and she finally saw like when Pita was running away from Kato.
Yeah, what was
So she was
happening?
like, oh,
Yeah,
so that was what was happening. So yeah,
I think
there.
it was more like impactful because we felt her feeling very overwhelmed by the new knowledge that she has because she
Mm,
didn't know what happened. But then in the movie, we already know what was
yeah,
happening
yeah,
as
yeah.
it was happening. So yeah, I think it was a good choice to have this in first person.
Yeah. It was the perfect choice.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, it's a good choice. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be perfect because like I am gonna say something in the succeeding questions. But I think Katniss's POV was more impactful because she's like a well-rounded character.
Mhm.
Like she's not perfect, but
Yeah.
she's very strong and like it's like she's not trying to be nice. She's
Yeah.
not trying to pretend to be anything but a sister, like a daughter to a mother that she is just civil with, whatever. So,
I think we got a really good like look at when she's trying to decide what to do, like deciding what is like morally right between what will help her survive.
hmm,
I think it was a really good, like we get a lot
yeah,
of glimpses of her thinking about those things, and it
yeah,
really added to the whole dystopian, like how messed up everything is that someone has to choose between those two
mhm.
things, and we get like first class front row seat to that to that internal struggle.
Yeah, and even with like her intern, like her as a character and like us reading it from her POV, you wouldn't get the feeling that she's an unreliable
Yeah,
narrator or that she's losing her marbles, you know. Like there were moments where it warranted that or like it
yeah,
had that effect because of like the
the
what was
dehydration and the
the Japper
sting
Jays? Yeah,
jabber,
the
yeah, jacker,
Tracker Jacker.
yeah,
But generally, you wouldn't say that she's unreliable solely because of like her having doubts or like her not knowing
yeah.
everything. So she's a well-rounded like character. Actually, I think I took note of that. That she is Katniss is tough yet level-headed when she has
Mhm.
time to ruminate about things. And I say when she has time to ruminate about things because like she would be what do you call this? Yung parang biglaan or like when she's pushed by her
Like
emotions.
impulsive,
Impulsive, yeah, with that
yeah.
with after that pita answer. She has those moments, but
Yeah, which makes her very human. I mean,
yeah,
not everyone can always think about what to do, what do I do. Sometimes you
yeah,
just
she's
act
flawed.
according. Yeah.
She's definitely flawed. Okay, next question. If you could change only one thing about the book, would you change anything?
One thing about the book. Hmm. I mean, I said earlier that the first person POV was really good. But I feel like I'm thinking about like what it would look like if we had a bit more um a bit more like information from other, not players, like other people from different like different types of characters, like for example from a mentor like from Hamish or from someone in the capital or whatever. I feel like it could be interesting, but I'm just thinking if, I don't know, is there's like this type of writing where it's first person but the POV, the person changes per chapter. Like are in the head of multiple different people. Does that make sense? Like for example, chapter one, Katniss, chapter two, Hamish, but it's also it's first person. I don't know how to, like what to call that. First person, multiple POVs. I don't know.
I'm
But I feel like,
laughing because like it's literally what I'm gonna answer here. Like not word for word, but
yeah,
like
but
more.
I feel like it would be like for example, I'm not sure how deep we're gonna go into the other books because I feel like obviously there's gonna be a little bit more backstory with what happened with the 13th district. I feel like that's gonna be
Mhm.
brought up again and the past. But like I wanna know, for example, with Hamish, what the heck is he thinking about? Like how is, I mean he's obviously has some sort of like trauma and PTSD, that's why he's drinking so much, or like that winner's guilt or whatever. But I want to like see it from his eyes, like I want to know what he's thinking of when he's looking at these two new people that's probably going to get killed, where he
Mhm.
is tasked to mentor, like to prepare them to get slaughtered. So I feel like those moments would be interesting to see. I feel like
Mhm.
it could be good where it's Katniss POV, but then every now and then there's like a sprinkle of a different
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
person's
yeah.
perspective for like key emotional or moments in the book.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I don't want the action in multiple POVs. I don't want that. I just want more of like the emotion aspect, the psychological aspect in more perspective.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. Like, I don't think I'd prefer it if, like, every chapter there's going to be a different
Different
POV, but
person.
more of
Yeah.
like, for example, if Katniss is like, just sleeping in a tree, you could get the perspective of like Pita. So, like, the way I imagine it is so specific. Like, there would only be like two Pita chapters or like
Mm. Like
three
there's
Haymitch
key moments,
chapters.
yeah.
Yeah, like just key moments, not even like
Yeah.
multiple. Maybe even Sena and like
Mm,
their train of thought with like um designing the dresses and like what did they think when, or
like
maybe
I
just
don't even know why Cena picked District 12.
I
Like I know
think.
that it's more of like on
Oh wait,
principle.
he did mention that he picked it parang because Kat he saw what Katniss did, as in she volunteered to be.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, so I just feel like there could be more into that. Like what made him like emotionally involved with what Katniss did. I don't know. I feel like it'd be interesting to highlight some characters and moments.
yeah, and like when the prequel was announced,
Mhm.
like me and the others, we wanted Haymitch. Actually, we wanted a Haymitch
Ah,
perspective with
so
like
it's not about Haymitch.
nope.
Okay.
It's about Snow. As in, even with the
Ah,
trailer,
okay.
it's about Snow and like younger Snow. Um,
Like the
so we were like,
beginnings
we don't
of Hunger
need this.
Games, kind of like that.
We don't need this. So like, I wanted to see Haymitch in action and like
Yeah.
what led him to be the drunkard that he is right now. Even though we know,
Yeah.
kinda. Wait. If there are different POVs for every chapter, you might get off track or sometimes wouldn't be as invested as much as the other characters.
Yeah.
True. But with Suzanne Collins' writing, I feel like she might be able to pull it off.
I think
if
yeah.
yeah,
Juju said limited POVs would work.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I think so too. Like
Just
not
not
every other chapter.
yeah, not the boomerang kind of
Yeah.
writing. Like one storyline, one storyline, one storyline, just circling
Kind of
back.
like an interlude nga eh. Parang may interlude after every big moment. Tas it's just a POV from someone else's of something that happened.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, would
Very
be
Way of
interesting.
Kings.
Bonus chapters.
Okay, so next question. If you've read it before, did the book stand the test of time? If it is a new read, did it meet your
I think I
expectations?
could go first with this, given that you're the one who read it before.
Well, it did stand the test of time. Like, um, I guess there may be some bias into it because, like, again, I am emotionally invested in this series for like a long time, and like, there's certain moments where you've read this particular book in this particular moment in your life, and it's like just the perfect combination. So there may be that kind of effect in me as I reread this, but I think it's safe to believe, like, I don't think there are even any problematic themes or
Mhm,
aspects in the book. It's just plain and simple. The world in itself is like also not that complicated.
mhm.
So there's really not much room for failure in Suzanne's
Yeah,
side. So the short answer is yes. It's
yeah.
still amazing until now.
So for me, I had very high expectations because anyone and everyone was hyping up this book. Like ever since I think I first said that I have not read the books in one of our reading sprints, like everyone was like, "Oh my god, you have to read it. It is the best. This the dystopian book, blah 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 blah." Like everyone. So I had really sort of I tried not to have high
Mm.
expectations, but I
It's hard
had
not to have. Yeah,
expectations.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's hard.
and I think it did meet it. I like given the fact that I had like a slump in the middle of May, I still was excited to read the book. Like when I was in the book, I couldn't really put it down, and that's why I finished it in two sittings.
Yeah.
Like the moment I picked it up, it like instantly hooked me in, and I was just really invested in it. And I really like you said, there's nothing really here that can sort of fail.
Mm.
Like there's not, like the writing style is really good. It's very straight to the point. It's very like it wasn't overly done. The whole setup of the world itself, it can be applied like anywhere in any setting, any like time, and like in the future, in the past. It's because governments are all the same, like authority figures are all the same. They're all always gonna be corrupt and stuff. So maybe I don't know if that's a good thing or not. That maybe it's good for this to be like not relevant in the future because that means the world's a better place. But I think that it really did a good job at highlighting key problems in societies and governments such as this one without um like it's making you think about things. It doesn't like say it point blank that this is a problem with
Mhm. Yeah.
this kind of government, this kind of
Yeah.
system. Because I mean, obviously, with anything, you could say, "Oh, it's good that they do this because every district has a purpose, whatever, blah blah blah." So there's ways you could argue things, but the way that they put it is that instead of just telling you that this system is straight up bad, it's giving you like anecdotal experiences of the characters with the system, with the setting, with the government, and it's like relating it to how this setup is affecting them. And it's also like showing how it doesn't how it's different for different classes and everything.
Mm.
It's not saying that this is bad, do not do this. So I feel like
Yeah.
whenever you read it, whenever you like come upon this book, you would find something that you could still resonate with. So yeah, short answer is that yes, it also did meet the very high expectations that I had for the book. And that's a good, like, it rarely happens these days. So
Mm. So do you
that's a good.
regret it now, not picking it up earlier?
Actually, not really. I don't think I regret this because I feel like if I read this when I was younger, it would be it would be a enjoyable read for me. But I feel like I have more appreciation now for the
Mm.
book just because I have more experience in life. Just because I feel like I have a bit more perspective now on the
Yeah.
different things that the book was trying to talk about without actually talking about it. So I feel like if I read this when I was younger, yes, it would be interesting. Like I could see
Mm.
everything, blah blah blah. But maybe some of the messages would be a bit muddled, or like some of the messages wouldn't
Over your
hit.
head.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it wouldn't hit as hard. Whereas this one, every time I read something, like for example, there's part here in when they I think this was when Katniss just heard Pita say that Pita liked him. Katniss said something about, and there I am, blushing and confused, made beautiful by Sina's hands, desirable by Pita's confession, tragic by circumstance, and by all accounts, unforgettable. I would just read that as like, oh, they made like as is like these people help me make look desirable. But
Mm.
on the flip side, now I feel like is this kind of like alluding as well as to how women are just like mouthpiece, like trophies for other people to put their
Mm.
expectations on, their desires on and everything, and we're just supposed to go with it because that's what's desirable for us. I feel like
Mhm.
those are the thoughts that I wouldn't have when I was younger.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah.
kind of appreciate it now. And yeah, I don't think I regret it.
Feeling ko nga baka, like, feeling ko nga when I read it when I was younger, probably kinilig lang ako nung moment na yun. Parang walang walang introspection na nangyari.
Naganap. No
But
thoughts, head
it,
empty. But it's a
with,
good thing then. I mean, it's
yeah,
okay to read a book like that as
different
well.
experiences. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different experience.
I guess to add lang din on what you said earlier, nung like it's not they're not gonna say it this way. Na for example, um, the capital is so discriminating,
Yeah.
they're fucking racist, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that's a beauty of like it coming from a district citizen, so i.e. Katniss, because like they just tell it as they
It
experience
is.
it.
Yeah.
Oh hey, wait. Comments. I expected it to be heavy drama or not a light read, but it's a breeze though. Dystopian genre seems like a scary territory for me when Hunger Games is a great intro. It is a great intro. I feel like after reading the Hunger Games, you'd really compare every single dystopian series you're gonna read to this one.
Yeah.
Because that's
Actually,
what
also to that point, that it's not like heavy drama or anything. I feel like a lot of dystopian get a kick about sensationalizing the gore, the suffering, the
Mhm.
struggles of the characters. But in here, it's kind of very tastefully done. That it's not to the point of entertainment. Like, you know how some books, they kind of use the suffering as like a kind of the whole idea of trauma porn kind of thing. Although yes, it is very traumatic and everything, but I feel like the storytelling itself did it very tastefully, where you get the point, you get how these characters are hurting and struggling, but not to the point where they're like put on a show, even though they're literally on a show.
Yeah, it's literally
Um,
what happens in the Hunger Games.
yeah, but it's not overly sensationalized in the
Yeah, yeah,
book.
yeah. Because again, it's told from Katniss's
Yeah,
POV.
POV.
Would it indulge to the depth, or yes, the messages wouldn't get into my mind as reading before was for excitement only.
Which I
Killings.
kind of miss those times where you just read and you're just happy. You don't think about all the problems of the
No
world.
thoughts, just vibes.
Just vibes.
Oh my God. Kilig-kilig lang, kahit problematic pala.
Like toxic,
Ayun.
ganon, toxic relationships, but kilig pa rin kasi wanna protect me, ganon.
That's probably me. That's probably me.
I
Mga
mean, it's kind of like
polyamorous.
escape. I mean, it's like it's funny, but it's also kind of sometimes you miss that kind of escapism that
Mm,
you just want to read a story without thinking about anything else.
yep.
It's hard to do
Okay,
these
so
days in our olden age.
this this question came from the Scholastic
Mhm.
um, guide question for the group. So when Pita said, I want to die as myself, I don't want them to change me in there. What does this tell you about Pita? What does he fear more than death? Is he able to stay true to himself during the
Oh my
games?
gosh, it's a thesis question.
Diba? If you look at all their questions, it's so specific. Like,
Yeah. I think it's one that was a really interesting like point of view from Pita, because everyone was just talking about how to survive, how
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
win,
But they're gonna
how to
win.
I'm gonna die or something like that. Everyone was just talking about within the confines of the mechanics of the game. But I think this was the first time that any character ever talked about like I just want to be myself. Like I don't care if I win or if I lose. I mean, obviously I would love to win, but like given all of the odds, I don't want them to change me in there. So I think that's a really powerful moment because it's the first time that anyone ever thought something like that outside the box, if you will. So what does this tell you about Pita? That Pita is amazing.
You never know.
I mean, I think it tells you that deep inside, he really is just someone
Being
sort of
himself.
innocent. Like he just want, like he has a not really idealistic, but in a way, in his like in a weird way, he seems like an idealistic person where he doesn't think about, the practicalities of winning. You get food for your family, blah blah blah. Maybe because he also has never really starved
Yeah.
at the same level as Katniss. Not
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
not
yeah.
like bountiful, but he
Well
didn't
off. Yeah,
never
yeah, yeah.
starve to the level of Katniss. But you know how he did never really thought about those things, never really thought about hurting, like how his family might, get hurt in the process, maybe because they didn't have a very good upbringing, things like that. But he feels like it's kind of idealism in his own way. But I like, not in a bad way, but in a very hopeful, innocent way. What
Yeah,
does
yeah,
he
yeah, yeah.
fear more than
Hopeful.
death? What does he fear more than death?
Kinikilig na naman ako.
Huh?
Pag naiisip ko,
I think more than death.
Katniss related.
Yes, in one point, that one. But I feel like losing, like he already said, I don't want them to change
Yeah,
me
yeah, yeah.
anymore. So he's
Losing himself.
very, like, he doesn't want to lose who he is, because I think maybe this says then how he likes himself. He seems like a very frail and like useless person, and like if you just look at the paper, if you will. But he's actually kind of very secure in himself. Like he
Mm.
knows himself, he knows what he likes, he knows what his strengths are, his weaknesses. He's a very secure person, and he just doesn't want to lose that. Because I feel like, yeah, ngayon ko siya naisip, ang galing ko. Ngayon ko naisip yung thoughts na yun, na he's a very secure person. And yeah, I think that's something that he wants to protect. Is he able to stay? I think na, no. I think,
Oh
are you
no.
there? Ayan, you're
Hello?
back. You're moving. Ayan, okay, okay.
Am I
You're
back?
back, you're back. Yeah, you're back.
Ikaw yung hindi nagmo-move sa side ko.
Ay, ngayon, am I moving?
Ayan.
Okay, okay.
Hmm.
Ayan, I think we're back. Yeah.
Majinx ata. Kahit mga 9:30 man lang magloko yung internet.
Pagtapos na yung 18 questions.
Ang dami pa ng
Yeah.
questions.
So ikaw, what do you
Anyway, I think with Pita, he's just, as you mentioned, he's secured, but at the same time, he's also the type to not super worry about things that he knows he can't control right now
Yeah.
or that he can't change right now. So, parang, oh, okay, nabunot ako sa Hunger Games. The next
Nothing
step,
you
anong
can
gagawin
do.
ko?
Yeah.
Not more of like, hindi na siya magpapanic over it. But I guess that's just us assuming because
We
we're
don't
not in
know.
his head.
Yeah.
But kasi parang I feel like at some little part of himself knows that this the Hunger Games and him being part of it will change him.
Yeah.
And I think that he just wishes na it won't change him the way that the Capitol or the game
Like
makers want
parang
to do
he's
to them.
reminding himself. He's giving himself a pep.
Yeah. So parang he just want to keep himself grounded. And what does he fear more than death? Well, the kilig answer is of course being rejected by Katniss and like finding out it's all a lie.
It's all a
But
lie.
yeah, I feel like he fears him and Katniss being changed by the games. So I say also Katniss kasi like he admires Katniss so much. Not like not even I'm not even saying this in like purely kilig way, but like he admires Katniss. But I feel like he would be scared if the games would change her. So I think that's also
Yeah.
one of his fears. Okay. Well, is he able to stay true to himself during the games?
I
Parang
think
hirap na sabot. Ang
so.
hirap nito sagutin. So, parang,
Hmm. I think true to
yes. But
himself.
also,
I think for the
Siguro
most,
to a certain point.
yeah, for the most part, yes.
Wait.
I
Am I
think
being
ano,
cut off? Parang,
yeah, parang a little bit choppy.
okay. Okay, right now, parang okay na. Nagmo-move ka na sa akin. Kanina hindi ka nagmo-move. Pero I can
Ah,
hear your voice.
podcast na lang pala ito.
And yeah,
The
I think to a
struggles.
certain point, like for the most part, because like we know that Pita is not useless. Like
Mm-hmm.
he is actually, he has a lot up his sleeve.
Yeah, it's very
And for
strategic,
the most,
very sly.
yeah. Sana
Sana okay na kayo.
I think it's just me. If you have a huge car, it will leave them. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why I mentioned that. I feel like innately, you're not gonna be the same person
yeah.
when you go
Even
out
if you
of the
win or
games and
whatever.
when you're part of it.
Yeah.
Because it's a survival of the fittest. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay, another
This is question.
another thesis question from Scholastic. Why do you think groups form in the beginning when they know only one of them will be able to survive?
I think, I mean, you know how people, like, if you're not someone who's very secure, like, you know you're strong, you're the best or whatever, you have this fear that you're gonna, someone's gonna beat you and you're gonna die in the game. So it's kind of an obvious move from a strategic that standpoint to kind of flock towards the people who are seemingly strong and try to get on their good side so you could at least last as long as you possibly could in the games. And then, like, think about the problem of winning on your own later on. I feel like it's not really a matter of which, like, your sort of allegiance or who you think is the right person or whatever. It's really just kind of, I don't want to be alone in this very scary situation, and I don't want to be one of the first ones to go. So I'm gonna stick with the, like, either the majority or the group that feels like is the strongest of the fold. And also there's this huge display of power at the beginning by the careers. Like, they basically, like, decimated everyone who went for the is it cornucopia? Cornucopia. That place in the middle with all of the goods. Their starting place. They basically showed everyone
The
how
cornucopia.
strong they are. So it's kind of normal for anyone to just want to be on the good side of those people until the absolute last minute. I feel like. I mean, I don't know. That's probably what I would do. I don't know. I don't know how to survive in the woods on my own.
Yeah. So I think that, well, I think it's just pretty natural for people to like affiliate with other people when the choices are limited
Yeah.
and when the consequences are dire. So if you're gonna die anyway, at least like try to survive in the meantime. And I
And
guess it's just innate in
yeah, and I think
people
it's
to
just
like
very
survive
scary to
anyway.
be, yeah,
To,
it's very
like,
scary to be alone in that situation.
yeah, unless it's your strategy to
Yeah, I mean,
be
unless
alone,
you
like
have a
Thresh.
strategy and, like, you know what you're doing. And imagine if you, like, if Katniss didn't volunteer and it was Prim. I feel like since she didn't
Yeah, yeah,
have
yeah.
the same skills, same experience that Katniss had, she would probably flop and, group with other people.
Yeah. Am I moving in your screen?
Yeah, I mean choppy, but yes, a little bit. Parang like a stop motion.
I think it really is my internet. Because even for me, you're not always moving. I am moving in my screen. Pero ikaw,
Pero
nag-freeze sa akin.
the audio is okay naman. Or
The
it's
audio is
still
okay
it's cut.
now, pero kanina like, medyo
Mm.
nagka-cut off kanina. So I hope it's
Baka
not
ano,
the same when
pinipigilan
it's
tayo ng
streaming.
ano,
But,
the capital is interfering with
paabutin niyo
our.
man lang kami ng line. Okay, sige, next question. What do you think is the cruelest part of the Hunger Games?
Hmm. Coolest part. I think the whole by Hunger Games, do you mean just when they're in the arena or the whole system of having the games in the first place?
The whole, like, the whole system. Yeah,
The
the
whole
whole
system.
policy of it. Like, you have to
Yeah.
join the actual
Yeah.
games.
Mm, I think the cruelest part is one where the whole ano tawag yun? When you want to parang get an advance on your food, like a ration, you want to get an extra ration, so you have to put your names, like you have to trade in more names to get like a ration of food. I think that thing is the cruelest part. I feel like obviously I'm not in that position, so I can't really say that it would be better if they didn't have that thing, whatever. But I feel like that's a very cruel part. It's like kicking you when you're down already. Like it just perpetuates this whole concept of how the um poor people in that government, in that society, is in the worst position to be a part of these games, because they're the ones who are going to need to get more rations, get more of their names into the bowl thing, and have more chances of winning, of like being picked in the Hunger Games. I feel like that's a very cruel part of it. I mean, aside from the obvious part that the whole thing exists. I mean, if I just look at it like mechanics by mechanics, I think that one is for me the cruelest part. How about you? I can't hear you. I don't know if you're on mute
I'm
or.
muted again. Yeah,
Ayan,
I was
go go
muted.
go.
So, I think for me the cruelest part is the fake hope that it was um promoting, because like it's
Uh,
just pure hopelessness. It's pure hopelessness no matter where you look. Like when the capital promotes us as, like, aside from a way to remind of the rebellion that happened before, and that um the winning district will win rations or years worth of food, etc. Like, in that part, it should be giving the district or the people hope, but it's just it's fake hope. So I think it's the
yeah,
whole hopelessness of the situation, no matter where you look at it, is the cruelest part for me. Because, like, it's hopeless for the family of those who have, like, the family of those that will be left by the tributes will be hopeless. And even the perspective of the coaches, what do you call sila, Hamish and sila,
mentor, mentor.
si Hamish is, yeah, the
I think
mentor.
yeah.
The mentor's part, it's pretty hopeless.
I mean, it just goes to
Yeah, the
show, like
general
with
hopelessness
Haymitch,
of the
yeah, with
situation.
Haymitch's character, it shows that even if you win the games, you're not gonna feel good after. It's not gonna be a good life afterwards. I think it's like the perfect
Yeah.
example of that. Yeah.
Okay, so this one is more. Okay, next question. Compare the Hunger Games versus the current reality
Mm.
TV, including social media.
Reality TV are like the TV and media in our real lives.
Very, ano na, Miss Universe.
Thank you for that wonderful question.
For being cut off from my side, I think I have to change.
Change.
Let me try and ano lang. Um, hold on. Like, nagko-cut off ka talaga sa side
Okay,
ko.
go ahead.
Hold on.
Let me check the recording. I mean the live.
Hello. Is it any better?
I think it's, yeah, it's okay. I mean, at least the actual YouTube video is okay. Like we're not cutting off in the video.
Okay. So maybe just on StreamYard.
Yeah.
Okay. So, let me redo that. Compare the Hunger Games versus the current reality TV, as in the shows, and social media. So I included social media here because, like, if we're just talking reality TV, of course, people still post their comments, their feedback, their
Yeah.
opinions on social media anyway. So in a way, it's like
Okay.
looking at reality TV.
Yeah, I think like reality TV as in shows that like try to
Yes,
give you a look
entertainment,
at reality.
as in
Okay,
for
okay, okay.
entertainment.
Okay, okay. Like the Hunger Games being shown on TV. Like
Yep.
I think there is quite a bit of similarity there. One, how you put all of these people, give them whatever hope. Depends on the premise of the show, whether it's like true love or whatever, kind of like the Bachelor. I've never watched those shows, so I don't really know what's going on there, but I presume that's the whole message, like you get true love and whatnot.
Mm.
um, there's this premise of hope to attain something that a lot of people want. So, for example,
Yeah.
in the Hunger Games, it's money, food,
Yeah.
glory or whatever. And then in real life, with reality shows, it's either money or love or
Fame as well.
fame. Yeah, like for singing, like talent shows and whatnot. But ultimately, the people who really benefit from this are the people who produce the shows, because they're
Mm.
the ones who, I mean, one, they can shape it to however they want. The story, they can shape the story to however they want to get the maximum revenue, the maximum views that will give them the maximum revenue. And they don't really even have to do like, and there's no consequence to them. Whereas these people, yes, you might get love, yes, you might get the money, but you're also like blasted on TV. Everything that you do is like interpreted in a very sensationalized way. It's all
Mm.
immortalized on TV. And then you don't even know if what this love you're getting is gonna be true or is it just for the show.
Last.
I mean, sure, with money, yes, you probably really do get the money, but I mean, at the same time, you're still then on blast, and people like, how when people, like, the reason why they don't show who win lotto is because
Mm.
they put them in danger. And then
Yeah.
obviously this whole thing of, there's a lot of cases where people earn a lot of money and then they don't know what to do with a lot of money, so they end up like spending and spending until they're back to where they are. I mean, obviously there are success stories with that, but ultimately, like, the producers don't really care about you as a person. They just care about what you'll do for them in order to gain them their views, their
Mm.
revenue, and secure another season of whatever they're producing. So yeah, I think in a way in Hunger Games, that's just what they're doing. They're betting on the people. They just want entertainment. They just do
Mm.
it for the entertainment, and it's just kind of like a bonus that it also serves this purpose where like it's putting people in their place by giving them hope and crushing their hope, blah blah blah.
Mm.
The whole thing that you mentioned earlier.
Juju said, OMG Korean Idol
You're
competition.
like, like produce whatever.
Editing. So I'm actually gonna use this example. So
Okay, go.
um I think, well, the Hunger Games didn't have like social media that we have, but I feel like the same effects were also there, like in a way that um the game makers or the capital would make decisions based off of how the people would react, because obviously these are the audience that are giving them, giving them views, giving them the money, giving them revenue. So to add to what Juju said, because like that's what I was thinking earlier, like I think it's scary to think that if you think about it, so now we read it in the perspective of Katniss, but what if we um for some reason we are from the capital, or like we empathize with the capital, we read it from the perspective of the capital, and we were part of the target audience. Like at the end of the day, it's hard to look away, because like there's an addictive factor
It's
into it, because
entertaining. Yeah.
it's entertaining. It's not you being
Mhm.
subjected to um this hopelessness, like this
Yeah.
um cruel activity. So it's entertaining for you.
Kind of
So,
similar to the whole
and I
true
think that's
crime
scary because
fascination.
I guess because I'm guilty
Yeah, I
of a
mean,
true
I'm
crime.
guilty too, but it's similar.
Yeah, like it's just scary to think, because like now when we're reading the Hunger Games, we're super mad. We are like against the
Yeah.
injustices, whatever. But like if we were in that world, we would be
It's hard to say.
also
Yeah.
entertained. Yeah, we would also be entertained with, like, we might feel some guilt because people are dying, but at the end of the day, we're still gonna watch it. So
Yeah.
sad.
It's just a sad
Anyway,
reality.
okay. Speaking of the capital, so even at the capital, class discrimination exists, or how being in the same district still makes for different experiences. What do you think about it?
I mean, I think this really goes to show how, like, all of this experience of discrimination and everything, it's in a way, it's very systematized,
Mm.
where everyone has been sort of like influenced from a very young age of how there's this divides between people, between districts, between people within the districts, like the mayor or the merchants versus the like non-merchant people, like normal people. And it's just something that's just been perpetuated again and again. And like similar to how you mentioned earlier, where if you're in the capital and you're just watching, you're not, it's hard to say if you're gonna feel the same way that we feel from the outside looking in. It's the same where if you're born into that system, unless you make an active like decision to not think that way, or to examine yourself, to have some sort of like self-reflection about things, I mean, it's hard to like get away from that mentality that there's this divide, because you're just daily just want to live, you just want to survive,
Yeah.
you're just thinking about your food wherever it comes from, however you get it. Depends on what your parents taught you, what your peers showed you, like you're just gonna think of that. You don't really have a lot of luxury to like introspect, like have these moments of like, oh, I feel like this is unfair, blah blah blah. I think it shows as well
Yeah.
the difference between Pita and Katniss, where Pita has a lot of time, not time, but still, because he's not as doesn't have as hard of a life as
He
Katniss
has
when
a
it comes
certain
to basic
privilege. Yeah.
necessities. Yeah, certain privileges. He can sort of afford to think about, what he
Yeah.
said earlier. I just don't want them to change me, blah blah blah. Whereas
Yeah.
Katniss,
Yeah.
like just thinking of her family, thinking of
Yeah. Yeah.
how,
Yeah.
if like how will they survive being she's a sole
Without her.
provider. Yeah, so I think it's just, in a sense, it's a very systemic thing and it's hard to remove. So I don't know. That's what I think about it.
I think I think the beauty of it, ironically, the beauty of it is that it shows that the people in the capital, they're not all good people. They're also not all bad
All bad
people.
people. Yeah.
Like, again, if you are born into it, like yung what do you call this? Yung team ni Sena, 'di ba
Oh,
parang
I think, oo,
like
yung mga stylist niya. Oo.
yeah, the stylists are just being themselves.
Yeah.
Like, of course, they find it cruel na the Hunger Games has
Yeah.
to
But
happen.
that's also all they've ever known their
Yeah,
whole
that's what
life.
they
Yeah.
know. This is their literal job. This is their
Yeah.
literal job to style the tributes.
Yeah.
So I guess I found it interesting na of course there are certain discrimination there. So I think it just adds a bit of what do you call this? Um adds a bit of layer into
Mm,
it.
like
We're
new
in
ones. Yeah.
yeah, it adds nuance to it because um yun nga, parang even if you're in the capital, I am sure that there are certain people there who would like to dismantle the capital, who wants to change things. So in a way, it's similar to our society or any society in the past na not everyone in the government are bad people. There are people working in the sidelines or behind the
Mhm.
scenes, whatever.
Yeah. I
So I
mean,
think
it's really hard to say that someone is an absolutely 100% bad
yeah,
person and someone is also absolutely 100% good person,
good.
because everyone is like a product of their experiences, their environment, their relationships. Like no one is just born one way and that's how they're going to be for the rest of their
Mm,
lives. So we're affected by a lot of things, and like a big factor is environment. And I mean, it's sad, but not everyone can and will arrive to a point where they would, look outside of their little bubble and think that, oh, like what I have here, it's unfair for other people. I mean, it's also difficult to rock the boat because you see what they're doing to other people. And I mean, it's a normal thing to not want that for yourself. I feel like, I mean, obviously, it's good if everyone could like be very, I guess, heroic in a way where they really champion the cause. And I mean, that's the ideal world. And I
mm,
mean, everyone likes to think that given in that position, we would do the same. But it's
mm,
really very difficult to say because at some point, like, I think, I don't know, I feel like we're just hardwired, obviously, to think about ourselves and how it affects us. I mean, maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but yeah, I think it's like just a difficult thing to say black and white that people, just because they're in a better position, privilege, they're born into privilege, like makes them 100% bad. Yes, they could do better. Yes, if they made an effort, they could do a lot more good than the people who doesn't have the same privilege. But it takes like a leader to really put,
yeah.
maybe this is like a spoiler for the
There are
future.
two more
I
books.
don't know. Maybe it takes like someone, a leader who will rouse everyone, like
Mm-hmm.
to take action. I feel like it's probably gonna be what's going to happen. I don't know, in future books.
Yep. I think it's it's not a spoiler exactly because I feel like with the setting, the current
Yeah, I
setting,
think it's a
it's where it's
reasonable.
gonna lead to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. Um, this next question was brought because of like a
Akala
certain
ko
line.
sabihin mo, this next question was brought to you by sponsor.
Sponsors. It's like there is a certain line in the book where Katniss says that the Hunger Games is just beginning. It's just starting. So discuss the irony of winning the games.
Hmm. Yeah, I think we mentioned earlier how Haymitch was this like obvious example of how winning the games isn't really all it's cut out to be. Like it's not
Yeah.
really as glamorous as how the capital and the capital I guess apologists portray it is. I mean, obviously material wise you get money, but then what do you lose to get that money?
Mentally.
Yeah, you lose mentally, you lose emotionally, maybe even lost friends because obviously there was someone from your own district that was killed and whatever. There's like a lot of resentment, there's a lot of guilt in there. So it's kind of ironic in a way that you're not really winning. Like
Mm.
at the end of the day, the only people that's winning is the people in the capital, the
Yeah.
producers of the show,
They
of
got
this
their
whole
entertainment.
circus, yeah, if you will. They're the only ones winning in this thing. And yeah, I feel like I don't know. There's been like 70 something plus games, and I feel like if winning really made a dent in anyone's lives, then like if winning really enriches like a district, then it's been 74 years. Like why hasn't anything changed, right? Because
Mm.
if like a district champion, like if someone from a district wins, like the whole district gets some kind of um perks, right? Like for a bit,
Mhm.
like a celebration or whatever. Like if that really made any dent in people's lives, then why do we still have this divisions? Is everything because it doesn't really matter at the end of it all.
I guess also the irony of winning is that yeah, of course you won the games and there are good things and bad things, mostly bad things that come out of it.
Mm.
So the good thing is that you won for your district. So the
Yeah.
people who are surviving in your district would get provisions, would get
Hmm.
food, would get oil, whatever. So that in itself is a win.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, at what cost? So at the
Yeah.
cost of other people from other districts dying.
And it's also I think the whole like how it's very lopsided. I mean, obviously the people from like district 12 and whatever, their chances of winning are like so low compared to the people from like the careers
Yeah, 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 yeah.
district where you
Because
have
they
careers,
have
right?
already won.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of like similar how people have different starting points in life, and it really affects your outcome, like your outcome in like where you end up in life. Even if both of you work hard at
Yeah.
something, the circumstances will affect where you end up, right? So
Mm.
it's kind of that where the ironic thing is that it's not a fair game. They like to make you think it's fair
Yeah.
because
Exactly.
there's no like everyone starts at the same place, everyone starts with no weapons, whatever.
Mm.
But their real starting point in their life is way lopsided. So like, how do you pit someone who's been hungry for like the entire life versus someone who has been training their entire life? How do you
Mm.
put them in the same arena together? And the whole randomness of it all, where you get one name per year, but then if you're poor, you would have to get a ration, which means you get more names in the whole thing in your
Mm.
in the selection. So even that, it's already lopsided to begin with.
Yeah, it's totally unfair. And um I guess that's also I guess the beauty of it. Again, the beauty of it
So
because
yeah, you find it beautiful that people.
even though it's very cruel and ironic because like of course it was shown in the book that
Mhm.
even though the careers were trained for this, they were mostly trained just for combat, not much on actually surviving.
Yeah.
So like it's entertaining in that sense, and I think that's what makes it addictive for other people, because like you have the likes of Katniss, Rue, Thresh, who has survived and tried to survive all their lives. So they have different strengths, and I think
Mhm.
that's what's interesting. Okay, oh god. Okay, so before the four questions about the movie versus the book,
Okay.
do you think you'd survive the game if you were chosen as a tribute? What would be your strategy?
Would I survive? Okay, first things first. One, I'm very, very, very bad with insects. And I also have a lot of allergies. Like, I'm allergic to dust, I'm allergic to extreme heat, I'm allergic to nuts. So I feel like I am a recipe for being one of the first few people to die in the games. But if I, let's say I don't have those things, let's say I'm
Mm,
just a regular person, I feel like I would definitely be one of the people who would ally with a group
mm,
and then would betray them later on. I feel like that's, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I feel like I am very much capable of that. Of just, use kind of, I don't want to say using people. But that's basically what I'm gonna do. Like, I'm gonna use people. I feel like I'm really outing myself in this time. But
purpose of the question.
yeah, it's a theoretical. It's a theoretical situation. Everything that I'm saying is theoretical. But yeah, I feel like that's gonna be my strategy. I don't think I would be the Katniss type that would like survive on their own and whatever. I really feel like I would ally with whoever I think I could use and then betray later on.
Okay, I
How
think
about you?
growing up.
Oh, wait, sorry. Do I think I would survive? I think I would make it to the top
Yeah, do
half.
you think you'd survive?
At least the top half. I think I would make it. And then the
At least you
crucial
won't
part is,
die at like
yeah, at
the
the
sound
corny whatever. Ano tawag doon?
the sound cornucopia.
Cornucopias. Cornucopia. I think I wouldn't die there because at the very first, like at the training pa lang, sisip-sip na ako sa mga ano. Sa mga careers, whatever. Like, I would be that kind of player. Like, the whole betrays everyone.
My apologies to my district. I won't
I
last
won't
in the
last in the games.
would kill me right from the start. I think I think I think growing up in the province like
Mm.
taught me how to like be resourceful. So I think resourcefulness would be my strategy as well. Siguro not to the level of like Katniss na kayang magbow and arrow ng animal. Ganun, magkayang pumana ng animal. Not to that sense, but like more of basic knowledge about what to eat, how things work. So in terms of combat, feeling ko I would be too anxious to
Mm.
team up with people because I feel like hindi ako makakatulog. I don't think I'd be
Yeah.
able to sleep knowing that they won't kill me in my sleep. I feel
Ako yun
like
eh. Ako yung magbe-betray sa'yo.
because I feel like if the roles were reversed, I feel like ako yun parang patayin ko to mamaya. Alam mo yun? So,
Ako, I'm a naturally very competitive person. Like, very competitive person. I think in the combat part, I think I would throw it down, and I think I would have like I wouldn't be beaten down by a lot of people. I would like put up a good fight. Like, I mean, I do sports and everything. I feel like like a little bit leg up
yeah.
in that department. But I definitely and now that I think of it, they never talked about the whole bathroom situation in the jungle. Like, what do they do? Do they just go in the wherever they
Well,
are?
forest naman yun. So feeling
Yeah.
ko,
So
gamit
yeah,
ang
yun pala.
dahon
Like
yun.
thinking about that, I'm like, like if I even just go to a different house, my body would not want to go to the bathroom. Like
I feel like at that moment, that would
even.
be the least of your problems.
I
Like,
don't know.
not
I feel
having
like
the food,
I feel like
not having the
knowing
food to
myself.
shit, not having the water to actually pee.
Yeah, or parang I wouldn't be able to use a bidet.
Oh my God. Gawa
I
natin
feel like
portable. Alam mo
that
yun?
would be the
Like,
death of me. Yung bottle. That would be the harder part for me. Like
oh
I
my
could
God.
stomach being an evil person and betraying people. I
Actually
mean,
nga, when
I don't
you read
know.
Hunger Games, I think, well, that's also the differences with the movie and the book. Like, sa movie, parang, when I look at Katniss, parang, ang kinis niya pa rin, hindi siya
'Di ba?
oily. Parang
'Di
ako,
ba?
parang
Sa
mas maliliit yung itsura ko on like a normal
ngay
day. And I'm not even in the Hunger Games.
'di ba sa book sobrang descriptive on like sobrang
Sobrang
dumi na
crusty nila,
niya, sobrang
alam mo
grimy
yun?
na
Oo.
niya. Saka yung part where, I mean, obviously hindi pinakita yung dehydration part in the movie, but
Yeah, yeah,
the whole thing where they parang she was hungry, sobrang pinakita na gaano ka-gaunt na siya, ganyan-ganyan. Tapos yung
yeah.
mga sugat
Cheeks, yeah.
niya and everything. Pero in the, ano, si ate parang glass skin pa rin
Diba?
siya.
Imagine you just want to relieve yourself. Oh my
Uurong
God.
talaga, be.
Imagine,
I
oh my
cannot.
God, imagine dying that way.
Oh my God,
Parang
nakaya. Tapos naka-flash
habang
sa
tumatay ka,
TV.
alam mo yun?
Tapos naka-flash sa TV, eh, no? Parang, oh my God.
Feeling ko ano yan, pwede natin gamitin yung line ni Pita na I want to die as myself.
Myself.
I want to die not while relieving myself.
Oh my God, nakaya. The horror.
Kasi parang sobrang vulnerable mo diba? Parang,
Alam mo yung tipo pag naiihi ka pa, syempre hindi mo ang hirap pigilan
pero syempre
midstream,
parang
di
hindi
ba?
mo na siguro maiisip. Like, parang pag makita mo na si Kato dyan, parang,
Hindi mo
syempre
pwede
takbo.
sabihin, time
Diba?
first.
So in short, the short answer is
We would all not survive.
survive up to some point,
Yeah,
but
like maybe
I don't
half.
think I'm confident enough
I'm not
to
gonna win.
say na I'm going to win it.
Yeah. Tsaka,
Okay,
yun nga, wala namang point ng winning.
exactly.
Let's just think of it that way.
Well, the natural reaction to like trying to survive, I guess. Okay, we have four more questions, and it's going to be the differences between the movie and the book, what we thought about it.
Mhm.
So, first, did the cast live up to how you imagined them in the books?
So I think in a way, mahirap for me to answer this because since I'm reading it, I read this at the time where sobrang laganap na niya in pop culture. Like I knew what everyone looked like before I even read the book. So while I
Yeah.
was reading the books, I could not unsee them in my head. Like
Mm,
Jennifer Lawrence was Katniss in my head while I was reading it. Like I couldn't think of a different person, right? So that's one like caveat, if you will. But in terms of how they acted and how that everything went on, I think a lot of them really did a good job. I I mean, I'm not gonna mention muna like how the movie like kind of failed the book a bit, but just thinking about how the each character acted. I think I wanted a little bit more from it's hard to say that I wanted a little bit more from Jennifer Lawrence as Katniss because again it's that whole thing where in the book we were in first person, so we really felt everything
mm,
that she felt. But I feel like in the book, I don't know if it's the whole camera shaking thing was supposed to mimic the whole stress and um, anxiety of the whole situation, but I feel like I needed more from her to feel the same things I felt while I was reading the book.
mm.
But everyone else, like I really like. I think the host, Caesar,
Yeah.
Effie, Hey Mitch, even like Sin. I think Pita also. I think everyone else were like really lived up to how I imagine. Again, they were the ones that I imagined, but how they were portrayed in a book. But I feel like because Katniss has such a high bar to meet because of it's her POV. Maybe that's kind of unfair to her as well. But yeah,
Um, I don't exactly remember how I felt when they announced the
the cast,
cast, but I think it's more of the excitement that, oh, we're finally getting a live
another movie.
action of the Hunger Games. And it's like, still hyped about the book, whatever. I think um at some point the cast lived up to it because, syempre, costume design helped,
Yeah.
minor details that were similar in the book helped, but I think it's more of the minor details, other details that matter. Like, again, what we said earlier, like, when you look at Jennifer Lawrence and when you look at the descriptions of Katniss in the book, Katniss
Mm,
is supposed to
yeah,
be
yeah,
super small, super scrawny, like not rude,
yeah.
but like, trying to
She's
survive.
she's not
Scrawny.
supposed to look healthy.
Yeah. She's not supposed to have meat in her body.
Yeah,
So it's those kind of detail, but again,
details.
that's not the fault of the actors anyway.
Yeah,
It's more of like just production stuff. So,
yeah.
but I don't know how to explain it, but it's really not Jennifer that I pictured
Hmm.
Katniss as. I think more Katniss in my mind is more simple looking, not conventionally pretty.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I
That
can, I can, yeah, I can see that.
maybe that's just me. And even Pita is supposed to be, I feel like Pita was supposed to be
Taller.
the size of Gale, but like,
Yeah,
you know, not fatter, but like more
more like
muscular,
big
more,
boned kind of
yeah.
situation.
So yeah, those kinds of things. But I guess again, that's not the fault of the cast anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, next. Did the movie capture the depressing setting of the novel?
The movie by itself, I feel like it was more action than depression. Like I said earlier, like it did a lot of things like with the camera shaking, whatever, to give you this notion of like what's happening is kind of anxiety inducing or stressful or whatever. But I feel like if I didn't read the books, and it's hard to like think about it, like if you didn't read the books, but I feel like if I don't have all of the like extra information that I have because of I've read the books, I would treat it more as like an action film. The only part that was even, I guess, sad was like towards the end where the whole thing with um the berries and everything, like that culminating part. I think that was the only part that felt like really depression because they really felt the loss of that hope that they could win it together. But the rest, I don't know, maybe because it was so fast paced that you don't really build any, like the part with Rue, like you don't build any investment with her.
Yeah.
You didn't know the books because it was just super fast.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like it didn't even show that Rue was actually smart, like street smart. She was
Yeah.
actually like able to survive on her own even before she met Katniss. Like,
Yeah. So I feel like, I mean, they tried with the whole color scheme and everything. I mean, by virtue of the concept of the story, it's depressing. But if you just look at the thing itself, it really wasn't. It was more action for me.
yeah, it wasn't. it wasn't as depressing. Like, sure, there would be times like when before the reaping happens, it's pretty silent.
Yeah.
Like, there's this tension in the air, whatever. But the general depressing state of things, like, wasn't able to capture it. Because, like, even this District 12, it didn't look depressing to me. Like, parang lang ako nasa probinsya na parang okay pa sila, alam mo yun?
Actually, I think that part where Katniss was like when Prim was chosen as the tribute, I think that part should have been super intense and impactful. But I don't know. I didn't really feel anything in that. Like, I think that part where, you know how in the book it's described as Katniss just couldn't like suddenly screamed
Yeah.
when she
And because,
heard
like, she
Prim's
was still
name.
in shock. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, like she just let go and scream and whatever and whatnot. I mean, I feel like that should have been such a powerful
Yeah,
moment where
yeah,
it was super silent and then suddenly Katniss just screamed and whatever. But I feel like because they did that whole part where Prim was walking to the whatever, ganyan,
yeah,
ganyan,
yeah, yeah.
we kind of lost a bit of the tension in that part. I don't know. I mean, that's just how I felt as a movie watcher.
Yeah, it was extremely fast paced. Like,
Yeah.
it's like they got certain details from the book that would make the whole thing have sense and just put it there, and removed other details that could also add more depth on those details. So I
Yeah.
don't.
I mean, I'm really sad actually they didn't include the part where Katniss was dehydrated because I feel like that really showed a lot about her and like and how intense the games are. Because I think in the book the games went on for weeks. Like it
Yeah, yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
super fast, right? But in the book, in the movie, it felt like it was just a few days.
Three. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Parang 3 days lang.
Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like that I mean obviously they have to do things for the sake of the movie length and whatever, but yeah, I don't think it was as depressing.
Well, leading to the next question. It's kind of similar or along the same veins. What were the three
Mhm.
things that you wish were in the movie or that they didn't change from the book?
The two things that I know I wanted to see that I mentioned while we were chatting was one, the dehydration scene, and two, Haymitch falling off the stage. Like I don't know, I really wanted to see that. I don't know why, because I think it really. It, I'm trying to rationalize, but you know how in the books they said where Katniss, everyone was scared that no one would take them seriously because Haymitch was this like a mess. He was like he fell off the stage in live TV. So how would people, sponsors, and everyone take him seriously? But then he did make things happen. So that just goes to show how he's like really this very mysterious but still like he's pretty good for being able to win the games as someone from District 12. So there must be something about him, right? There's some like he must be tenacious or whatever. But then he has this facade of being this very drunkard, like no good kind of person. And I feel like that would have been a good scene. I don't know what the third thing is. I mean, aside from the fact that maybe sana hindi ganun ka fast pace, what did I Oh, the intimate scenes between Pita and Katniss before the games. Like while they were still training, how they would meet in the rooftops and talk about different things. I feel like that would have been a good sort of setup for them actually having some sort of connection because we just heard Pita confess to Katniss, but then we don't really know what like how they are together because we barely got anything. I think that those are my top three. I think you're mute on mute.
Okay. The
Ayan.
dogs are like barking again. So they have a specific page.
Ay,
And
wow.
I took note of it. So what is page 301? So page 301. Okay. Wait. So I took note na sa
Mhm.
page 301, wish this was in the movie so it could have better established Katniss's internal doubts and struggles with believing Pita. So
Mm.
parang it wasn't shown in the movie na parang aside from that part na tinulak ni Katniss si Pita but more of out of just surprise and
Yeah,
that she's
yeah, yeah.
ready for it. But yung nasa page 301 was the part where Pita said na, and right when your song ended, I knew just like your mother, I was a goner. Yung nag-uusap
Mm, yeah,
sila
yeah,
about
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Katniss
Yeah.
singing.
Yung conversation nila, I think
Yeah,
that was in the cave or something, yeah.
yeah, and then Katniss was like, for a moment, I am almost foolishly happy, and then confusion sweeps over me. So I
Yeah.
think we were robbed of that kind level of.
Actually, sobrang romantic nung scene sila sa book. Like with the whole Katniss doubting everything, but then Pita is just barreling straight to and just, just telling it as it is for him. Yung whole conversation nila. I think it was super short in the movie. Like they had a lot of
Yeah.
moments in the cave.
Speaking of the cave, that's the good thing. Like, I think it adds to like our my gripe about Pita not being as fleshed out as in the
Mm.
book. Like,
Mm.
because Pita
Like
isn't
his
like completely helpless, he was
yeah.
injured because he was running away from Kato, and
Mm-hmm.
he
Yeah.
was trying to steer him away from Katniss. So
Katniss.
he's not completely helpless, and yung part na he was actually taking care of Katniss, na they kept being injured repeatedly. They were, like they were struggling for food. So parang walang moment. We were robbed of like the cave moment where Pita was also like a pivotal part of that.
Yeah.
And I think my last one
Mhm.
is when Haymitch kissed Katniss on the forehead. Yung parang there was a moment na um Katniss did good at the interview. I think it was that.
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
Tapos it wasn't when he was whispering to her ear, but it was more of like when he kissed her on the forehead. I think it was at
Mm.
the part where she saw them again. So parang we weren't able to see that in the movie na parang Haymitch is a drunkard, flawed
Yeah.
mentor, but at the end of the day,
He really
he
cared.
yeah, he still wants them to survive.
Yeah.
And parang
Yeah.
he wasn't even blaming them like for what they did. Yun lang.
And actually, there's the scene in the book where they already won. Like both of them, they tried to do the whole berry thing. They won. They were taken up to the hovercraft, and then that point where they were still in that fight or flight mode, where some the doctors were trying to
Ah,
save
yeah, yeah,
Nita basically, and then she was just like this feral animal shouting. I feel like that should have been included because it shows how basically the games will change you. Like
I don't want to spoil it, but it might,
okay,
in terms of the movie, in terms of the movie, it might be in Catching
like a
Fire.
flashback.
Yeah, it
Mm.
might be in Catching Fires. Kasi diba, they abruptly ended T1.
Yeah. Mm.
But parang faint recollection, I think it's gonna be in Catching Fire. Parang yun yung magiging umpisa.
Opening. Okay, sorry to the director. You
Pero
have plans.
gets.
Pero parang I was looking for that parang very cathartic moment where
Kasi ang
she
ganda
was
nung,
just shouting. Kasi the entire time, di ba,
yeah,
sobrang
yeah.
kalmado niya, sobrang whatever niya. Pero nung moment na yun, sobrang nag-snap siya. Kasi diba, the entire game, she didn't want to show anyone that she was weak or whatever, ganyan-ganyan. Kasi nga, the sponsor thing, whatever,
Mm.
ganyan-ganyan. But then, in that moment, she like snapped. And then we didn't have that in the
Pero
first
like,
movie.
diba, parang another minor detail that could have mattered is that Pita was actually injured during the
Yeah, yung sobrang parang dying na siya.
dying level. Na parang,
As in to the point na parang like if they didn't parang it would have shown how desperate they were
yeah.
to like get out of this
Yeah,
alive
kasi
and
diba parang
everything.
they repeatedly asked, like, what's happening? What's happening? Is it
Yeah.
not over? Whatever.
Yeah.
So parang hindi na-capture yung desperation,
Desperation.
yung
Yeah.
hopelessness with the moment. Kasi nga parang Pita is literally dying.
Yeah, in the book. But then in the movie, he was just injured. Like,
Kasi they
normal,
were
ano lang.
standing pa, diba? They were standing by the
Oo, yeah. By the lake thing. Oo.
Mm. Ah, okay. Parang looking at it now and watching it as an adult, parang I'm starting to not like the movie.
The movie.
Like,
Parang the movie
parang
was a
when
bit
I watched it before,
like, it was like very catered for a younger-ish
yeah,
audience. I feel like the book,
parang those
parang,
who aren't looking for that
yeah,
much.
action lang talaga. They just want action and something like that.
Actually, yung last question naman is generally did the movie live up to the book? So
So, I think,
answering
I
it.
think medyo we answered it in the previous part where no, it did not. I
No.
mean, alam mo yung parang the whole thing we were saying earlier that if you read this when you were younger, you would have some of the things would have like flown by you. You wouldn't have felt the same way, or it's just no thoughts, good vibes only.
Mhm.
Parang kita yung movie.
Yeah.
In a sense where it just picked the very superficial top level part of the book and then put it in the movie. Like it's kept a lot of the whole building of our emotional investment to the characters and the whole parang how each character is different and whatnot. So no, it did not.
I think I keep thinking about it. Like, if we are going to do a reboot and
Mm,
do a TV series, same with like how they did Snowpiercer, because it started as a movie,
yeah.
diba? Because they
Hmm.
just made it
They did
into
the
TV
TV.
series. I was like, okay, with the amount of technology that we have, um, lots of actors available, parang
Would
I'm
it
starting to
be?
think, would it fare the same way?
I just don't want that whole shaky thing. I I just don't want it. But I feel like that was very popular then because I remember Twilight also had that kind of
Yeah,
style.
yeah, yeah. Like super
So,
closed up
yeah,
moments.
yeah, and also just a very very tangent. When I watched Twilight recently, na-realize ko lang sobrang blue pala nung movie.
Yeah. As in parang
Like
gumamit sila ng filter.
as in filter sobrang blue, as in blue.
Nag-color balance sila,
Oo,
gano'n. Nag-color balance
as
ng blue.
ginawa lang nilang blue.
Yung
Sobrang side
blue
note
pa
lang.
niya, yung hindi yung royal blue.
Oh, as in parang cyan.
Oo. Why were you watching it recently, though?
I
I
don't know.
mean,
Twilight is just one of those movies that I watch every now and then. Like parang as a I don't know, parang
oh,
entertainment. I don't know.
I still have a physical album
I
with
feel
me.
like I think napanood ko na yata at least the first movie, mga more than 7, 8 times.
Oh my God, ang
I
dami.
don't know. I just watch it every now and then.
Comfort ano tawag doon? Like,
Comfort movie. I don't know. Probably.
hindi ba yung when you're supposed to be ashamed of it, but it's something that you like?
Guilty pleasure.
Guilty pleasure, yeah, yeah.
Probably.
Actually, alam mo ba, gusto kong gumawa ng
All
read it
guilty pleasure stuff.
like, no, I think Twilight naman, as in the Twilight.
Twilight.
Gusto kong basahin ulit.
So, yun ba yung next? Alam ko na meron akong favorite part doon. Yung sa New Moon. Ay, nabasa mo na, di ba?
Yeah, 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 the whole thing,
Okay,
yeah.
yung sa New Moon, the whole, nag-aantay siya for Edward. Tapos ang nalakot na rin, January, February,
Yung nakaupo na siya.
March,
Yung sa book
April.
kasi parang
Yung sa book, parang chapter headings lang siya
yeah, yeah.
after. Parang, oh my God, ang galing ng writing. Parang sobrang amazed ako ng bata ko.
Pero ngayon, parang nagsayang sila ng page. Parang sana, in-skip mo na lang yan, tapos nag-ibang date ka na lang, diba?
Oo.
Anyway, nasa
For the
twilight
effect.
pa tayo agad.
Anyway.
I forgot. Like, with the whole match thing and the pin, parang that should have been in the movie. Kasi
The what
parang,
na?
well, si Madge and the pin.
Ah, yeah, 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 yeah. Saka
Kasi
yung
parang,
father ni Pita.
kasi
Yung
parang, di ba,
ghost.
it adds on the, parang, them breaking the rules,
Yeah.
pero the mayor and their family aren't, they didn't care as much. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember though if Madge is gonna be. I don't remember.
In future,
Hindi ko
future
maalala.
thing. Wala rin yung Avoxes. Pero yun nga, I think I mentioned in our chat na I feel like the Avox thing was setting up for something bigger and they didn't want to start the setup too early. Parang ganon. I don't know. Like, I mean, I feel like you would know more, but so bawat, I don't know.
I can't remember honestly. I can't remember. Pero they did show in the movie yung part ng hovercraft, right? With the Avox, hindi ba?
Parang, I
They
don't,
did, right?
I don't remember.
My hand. Inimagine ko
Like,
na lang.
did they even show Avoxes? Like, I know they
Hindi.
showed parang
Yung
mga
forest
servants,
part,
gano'n.
hindi ba? Hindi ba yung forest part na parang may hovercraft?
Ah, nung nag-uusap sila ni Gail?
Oo.
Baka yun yun. I don't know, maybe. Ano pala,
Time
Easter
to
egg
watch it
pala yun,
again, I
sorry.
guess. Kasi medyo nag-pixelize siya sa akin nung
Ah, nagsa-stop motion yung movie. No?
oo. So parang lalo akong na motion sickness kasi gano'n na nga yung
Mga
angles.
ganun.
So, have you started Catching Fire?
No, because we're gonna take a 1 month break. Chill
Ay,
na tayo. Chill read na tayo.
na.
Siguro I'll start reading last week, ganon.
In my mind, we're gonna do the Catching Fire this month. No, chill pala. No
Oo, ano
chill.
tayo? Chill, read along. Sa ano pa tayo? Sa July. Ay, tama. Yeah,
Forgot.
July.
Yeah, July. I forgot.
Pero ikaw, simulan mo. Malay mo matapos mo ng July 31. Ay, July ano pa rin.
June 31.
So, ano ba
Okay.
tayo? Chill muna
Kasi
tayo. Para rin.
binaro ko na sa Levi. Yung
Oh, no!
wait. Kasi in my head, like, okay, babasahin ko na siya next.
Eh, di basahin mo na. Okay lang yan.
See? On your loan shelf.
Oh, no.
Okay, balik muna kita. Manage loan.
Well, marami
Hindi
pa
kasi
naman
marami namang
time.
comments eh. So,
Ah, okay.
okay
Good,
lang.
good, good, good.
Okay. No chill pala. Okay.
Um,
Anyway.
yeah.
Any other thoughts that you have about the book?
Yeah, I think ang dami na natin dinada. I think sobrang na-flesh out na natin siya between chatting during the movie and now. And I'm excited to see where the story will go. Like, I think, obviously, parang it's a 3-act thing where yung dulo magiging some sort of, I'm just assuming, like mga revolution or whatever.
Mhm.
Like, I wanna see how it happens. Saka yung
Mm.
history, whole 13th district keme. I feel like
Yeah.
it will
Well,
come in
we'll get there. Few months time.
few months time, in a month's time.
Okay. Anyway, to whoever is watching, so again, we are doing the Hunger Games read along, and it's like on Catching Fire. We're gonna read on July since
July.
this is pretty chill read along where we take a month break before we get on the next book and the next movie. So the link to the Discord server is in the description below, so you can join us in the read along there. There will be announcements, discussions, even the movie screening would be there.
Yeah.
And anything you want to add?
Not really. I haven't edited yet. I don't have videos upcoming. But yeah, just follow us on Instagram so you'll be updated when we do our weekly sprints because we still would try to do our weekly reading sprints, which is usually either Friday or Saturday at 7 p.m. Manila or around the same time as this live show. So, yeah, just check out our Instagram so that you're updated when we go live for a reading sprint.
And thank you to everyone who joined us
Yes,
tonight.
everyone who
Oh,
participated and ranted with us about the movie. And we hope we see you in Catching Fire for the next live show and movie screening.
see you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.